Hello, and welcome to Concert Ready, Remote Techniques for Ensemble Learning. My name is Darcie Pickering, and I would like to start out by saying thank you to MusicFirst and to Jim Frankel for asking me to be here today. I'm excited to share a few of the remote learning techniques that I used with my orchestra this past spring. Just to give you a little bit of my own background, I teach in Pearl River, which is a small suburban town in Rockland County, New York. We're about 20 miles north of the city. My building houses grades 8 through 12, and I teach two orchestras. One orchestra is 8th and 9th grade and has about 30 students in it, and the other is 10th through 12th grade orchestra, and there's about 40 students in that orchestra. I'm going to show you three assignments that I used in the spring, starting out with something super simple that the students can do using just their Chromebook or whatever laptop they have and a set of headphones. Then I'm going to show you how you can help your students get through those tricky passages in your repertoire using the MusicFirst software PracticeFirst. And then finally, I'm going to show you a fun activity project that we did using the Acapella app. So for the first couple of weeks of distance learning, my assignments were pretty simple. I would put things like, let's rehearse or practice rehearsal letters A through G of Capriccio Espagnol and make a Flipgrid recording of yourself and submit it by Friday. And that worked out fine for a couple of weeks. I would watch the videos, send some feedback, maybe have a student redo a video if they needed to fix something or work a little extra on something. But as time went on, as we realized that distance learning was going to be a long-term thing, those assignments were starting to lose their excitement, especially for the kids who play parts that don't necessarily have the melody very often. So playing a second violin part at home by yourself isn't really the same as playing it with the full orchestra. And that's the experience that they were missing. And that, I feel, is where they were starting to lose interest. So I came up with a couple of ways to make it a little more exciting. So let's take, for example, this piece right here. So on its own, this part is pretty boring, right? In the full orchestra, it's one of their most favorite pieces to play. But practicing A over and over and over at home isn't quite the same thing. So to spice things up, I did a really simple activity where I posted a YouTube video of the piece and asked the students to just practice along with the video. So this gave them the feeling that they were playing along with the full orchestra, sort of the same as it would be if they were in school. I posted the assignment in Google Classroom, and I made sure to include the link to the video that I wanted them to play, as well as a link to a Flipgrid where they would record themselves at the end of. So here I am in my Google Classroom assignment that I've already set up with my title. I have my instructions of what the students are supposed to do this week. I included the metronome marking so that if they need to find a reference point or if they need to slow the metronome down and play and practice it slower before they can play at the same tempo as the recording, they're able to do that. And then just the instructions that they are going to record this in a Flipgrid. So I've attached the video that I want them to use so that they don't go off into the internet and find something else that I didn't approve. And then I'm going to now show you how to make and attach that Flipgrid assignment. So I already have this tab open. This is my Flipgrids for my classes. So I'm going to open PRHS Orchestra, and I'm going to add a new topic. And so we're going to call this topic Alberta Play. Maybe we should call it Alberta YouTube Play Along. And then here's where I'm going to type my instructions. I did type them in Google Classroom, but it doesn't hurt to have it in more than one place. So I'm going to actually just go over, and copy them and paste them right here. That way no one can say they didn't see it. I'm going to extend the time to 2 minutes, which actually maybe not, maybe 2 minutes and 30 seconds, just to give them a little time in the beginning and the end if they're having trouble with getting set up. You don't want to make it too long because remember, you do have to watch all of these. I like to put on video moderation. This just means that I'm the only person that can see the video. The students can't see each other's. If you want them to see each other's and comment on each other's videos, or maybe give constructive criticism, that sort of thing, you can keep this off so that they can see each other's. If I do that, usually I say I'm going to do it, or I ask the students permission first, just so that they don't feel like they've been put out there. And then here's my favorite part. You can record a video or upload a video giving the instructions so that they can see you talking, they can see you demonstrating. And I think it's more helpful for some than just reading the instructions. So once you have finished creating your new topic and recording a video, a demonstration, or just a video of you recording your instructions, you're going to come, oh, my screen's in front of it, down here and click Create Topic. Okay, and when you click Create Topic, it's going to say your topic is ready, and it gives you this code that you can then attach to your Google Classroom assignment so that they can click on it and go directly to the assignment. So I'm going to click Copy and go back to my Google Classroom, click Add Link, and then I'm going to paste the link into there and hit Add Link. Going to take its time. And now you can see that you have your Flipgrid assignment in your Google Classroom assignment. And so when the students click on it, now it should take me, when I log in, to the student view. And here's what the student sees. So they have their instructions. If I had recorded a video, a demonstration video, it would be right here for them to click on and watch. And then when they're ready to record, they would click this green button. And then here's their screen where they can record themselves playing. So for the YouTube play along assignment, the pros are that it's much more fun than playing along with just a metronome. It feels like the student feels like they're playing with a group, much the same as they would feel if they were playing in school. The student can watch the conductor in the video, and the student can see the bowings and things like where on the bow the performers are playing certain parts. So there's a lot that the student can get out of looking at the video and listening to the performance. The cons of this assignment, of course, is that you can't change the tempo of the video, so you're kind of stuck with whatever tempo the video has. If the student can't play it at that tempo, then they still need to do some practice on their own with the metronome before they can play along. And then it takes a little time for the teacher to search YouTube and find a video that has the interpretation, tempo, and dynamics that you're looking for. And also it can be sometimes difficult to find a good recording of if you are playing an arrangement versus an unabridged piece. Although most of the arrangements that I play, I've been able to find with a little bit of searching. Oh, there's just a little bit more work on the front end for the teacher. Okay, so now let's take a look at this violin 1 part. So that activity that I just showed you worked great with my second violins, violas, cellos, and basses in this piece because, like I said, their part's not that technical. They just kind of needed to feel like they had the group behind them. When it came to the first violin part, though, it's a lot more technical. There's a lot more going on. And so the videos that I was getting back from the kids had a lot of mistakes. I felt like I was spending so much time listening, grading, commenting, asking them to make the video again. And it was too time consuming for everybody. And so I'm going to show you now what you can do with PracticeFirst to take a little bit of that grading time away from you. And it also helps the kids be a little bit more accountable in their practicing. So I'm going to show you how to use Noteflight and PracticeFirst to create your own exercises for the students to do. And so the MusicFirst software that you will need is Noteflight and PracticeFirst. So your first step is to create an excerpt of a piece you're playing in Noteflight. So I chose the violin 1 part of the first movement of Capriccio Espagnole, and they're going to learn rehearsal letters E through H. So here I am in my dashboard for MusicFirst. I'm going to open up Noteflight. Click Create to make a new score. And then today I'm only making a first violin part, so I'm going to click Parts up here and delete the instruments that I don't need. Change the tempo. Change the time signature. Change the key. Put in my title. And I'm going to be really specific. Rehearsal letters E through H. And that's so that when I'm looking at all of my Noteflight files, I can tell right away which is the one that's violin 1 versus, you know, something else I made that is maybe an excerpt from the same piece. It's just easier to tell what it is that you're looking for. And so then here's where I would start typing in all of the notes. I'm not going to actually do that right now because it will take kind of a long time. So I have it prepared already. So just for demonstration's sake, I'll copy and paste it in. Here it is. And you may notice that something is missing, something pretty important, and that is the bowings. And the reason that I didn't add any of the slurs or the bowings is because when you export this into PracticeFirst, oftentimes those things don't translate well, and they just don't come across well. They're in the wrong spot or whatever, so I just leave them out. The students use their sheet music at home that has all of that in there, and so I just tell them to prop that up in front of the screen or next to the screen so that they can see the bowing. The next step is to save the excerpt you made as a music XML file. Once you finish typing up your excerpt, you're going to save this as a music XML file, and that's the type of file that PracticeFirst will be able to use to make it into an exercise. So I'm going to go back over to my menu over here and go to Score, and then scroll down all the way to where it says Export. And then in this list, I'm going to find Music XML Score. Click Continue. And then here's my computer just showing me where it's going to end up. I'm just going to have it on my desktop so that I can find it easier. I may save it in a folder later to be more organized, but I want to find it easily. So I'm going to click Save. And then as you can see, it's downloading, and here it is on my desktop. And then the third step is to create your PracticeFirst exercise. Here's what it looks like. So the final step is to make a PracticeFirst assignment that your students are going to do. So I'm back in my MusicFirst dashboard, and I'm going to click on my Orchestra third period class. And then I'm going to go over to this little plus sign. When it opens it up, it says create. And so I'm going to create a task. And we'll call this Alberta practice. It's E through H. Again, this is just so that when the students are looking at their assignments, they can tell which section it is that they're supposed to be working on. So I think it's good to be specific in the title. My task type is going to be MusicFirst software, and the software I'm going to choose is PracticeFirst. Okay, so here in the description is where you can put some instructions. You can say practice this excerpt every day this week and submit your best attempt on Friday. Assignment scheduling, I mean, you can pick a due date. This right here, though, assigned to all in class, is the thing that I like the best. Ahead of time, I have made assignment groups. And so since this is a Violin 1 assignment, I'm going to choose to only assign it to my Violin 1s. So then when my students open their MusicFirst dashboard, the basses won't be getting this assignment because they don't need it. But for today, since I actually don't want my Violin 1s to do this, and some of them will if they see it, I'm going to just put myself. This is a student account that I made for myself just for demonstration purposes. So, but you could choose any student. If you wanted to assign it to just one student or a few students, you could type their names here, and they would come up below. So I'm assigning this to myself for today. I'm not going to add any standards, and I could add this to my grade book, but again, today I don't need to do that. Okay, so create task. And then just remember that you are not done yet. We need to go over here to where it says open and practice first. And here's where you're going to create your own exercise. So click on create your own exercise. And we are going to load the score that we saved not too long ago. Here it is right here. Open. And here's the assignment or the excerpt that we typed up in Noteflight. Now, if you are an excellent violinist and you want to upload a real audio file of yourself playing this as a backing track, that would be great. I am not a violinist, so I am going to choose to use this synthetic audio. And we can make sure all these things are filled in correctly. Default score of 90, that I leave that as like 90 is fine. And then I'm gonna hit save. And now it is ready to assign to a student. So I'm going to click assign to student, and then it gives you the option of adding some comments if you want to, but I'm going to do the show advanced options. My score goal is 90. I can change the grading so that it is easy, medium, or hard. I'm going to leave it on medium. My tempo goal, I want them to play it at the tempo that I assigned. Playing mode, I can make it free mode or I can do with metronome. I like the metronome. It makes it click through the entire exercise, helps to keep them on track. And then you can have it be regular, sight reading, or for memorization. I'm going to keep this on regular and then click add. And we can close it. And then it goes back and now you're all set. And so here's the student view of your Practice First exercise.
So now I'm going to log in as my student account so that you can see what the student will see when they log in. So here's my assignment. It's at the top of my list of assignments. So click on that and then open it in Practice First. And here's the assignment or the exercise that we made in Noteflight. Remember that we didn't put bowings because they don't come across well. They don't always come across. Plus, the Practice First program can't tell if you're doing the bowings right or not. So I have over here set up, I'll move my screen. You can see I have my stand set up with my music on it. So I'm actually going to look at that while I'm playing the exercise. So the student is going to be required to submit this at the tempo that I asked, 114. But if they want to try it at a slower tempo first, they can do that as many times as they like. So when I demonstrate it right now, I'm going to slow it down because, as I mentioned, I'm not a violinist. So here we go. So this attempt, I'm going to purposefully play some wrong notes just so that you can see what Practice First will do when your student plays wrong notes. Still not too bad. Let's close this so we can take a look. So it says right here, it tells me that I played a B here instead of an A. Over here, it says that I played a wrong note, an F sharp, instead of the E that it was supposed to be. And then you can see these dips in this green line. I had a little rhythmic error here, and so it's showing me that. Here it's showing me, I don't know if you can see that this line, it turns a little yellow here. It's showing me that even though I played the right note, I was a little bit sharp. And then here, same thing, I missed a note, maybe sped up a little bit in the tempo. And so it shows the student these things so that they can retry. They know what they need to work on when they retry before they submit to the teacher. So it saves you a little bit of time listening and then giving that feedback. The program gives the feedback to the student so that then they can make the corrections. So I'm going to get into playing position first and then hit record. And I did a pretty good job. So at this point, I could submit it, I could retry it, or close. Since I didn't play it at the actual tempo that was assigned by my teacher, I would then retry and go faster and faster. But just for today, I'm actually going to hit submit. This will be the attempt that you're sent to your teacher for listening. I'm going to click yes. And now I'm done.
So with this kind of do-it-yourself practice first exercises, the pros are that the student is motivated to get a better score. They don't like to see that they got a 75. They can't sit well. That doesn't sit well with them. So they're motivated to keep trying, and all of those extra attempts just add up to more practicing time. It also saves you some time with grading because you don't have to listen to all of those attempts that didn't go so well. Hopefully they will wait until they have gotten a good one to turn in. The cons are that it's more prep time in the beginning because you have to spend that time typing out the music. That's why I saved this particular activity for technical passages, little excerpts that maybe they need to spend a little bit more time on. I would definitely not, do this for an entire piece of music. And then the other thing is that, the practice first doesn't evaluate the dynamics or the bowings. And so that's just something that I might save if I was going to do a live Google Meet. That might be a time when I could assess those things or ask them to turn in a video. So it's just, and you'd have to find another way to evaluate those things. Okay. So before we move on to the last activity, the Acapella App activity, I want to take a moment and talk about the virtual ensemble. I'm sure we've all seen these on the internet, and they are a lot of times very, very cool. They sound awesome. And those are, of course, great things. They look and sound amazing. It's great publicity for your program if you can put one together. The thing that is difficult about them is that they require a lot of expensive equipment and some advanced editing skills in order for them to sound really good. It's also extremely time consuming for the teacher or for whoever is putting it together. The screenshot of this virtual ensemble that you're looking at here is the music teachers in Rockland County made a video of Pomp and Circumstance for the school's graduations. And I can say that the person who put this all together, it took him about 50 hours. So as teachers teaching multiple classes, we don't have that kind of time. And it's not really a true ensemble experience for the student or for whoever is recording the part. You're still recording the part from home by yourself. So it doesn't really feel like an ensemble until you listen to the finished product. But still, like I said, if you have the ability to make one of these, if you have the technology and the knowledge of how to do it, I say go for it. Like I said, they're really cool, and everyone, principals love them. But if it's not something that's in your wheelhouse, which I suspect for most of us that's the case, using the Acapella app is a great alternative. So this is one of my students recording the chorus from Feel It Still. We did this past spring. And what's great about this assignment is that the student does all of the work. The student is learning and recording all of the parts. They're also doing the editing themselves with the help of the app, of course. The student learns how their part fits into the ensemble, and they're also getting some experience reading from a score, which is something that they don't always get to do at school. And then the best part is that everybody gets to play the melody, which is what we all want. So what the teacher needs for this is any notation software will be fine. And then the student needs either the Acapella app, which is for Apple, or the app on Android is called Acapella Maker, but they're basically the same. Either of the free versions is fine. You will be limited to 30 seconds of recording, but 30 seconds of recording is actually a pretty long time, and you can get a lot done in 30 seconds. So like I said, the free version is fine. And then plug-in headphones with the built-in microphone work best. With Bluetooth, there's just a little bit of a delay. You may have heard this recording that I just played for you isn't lined up 100% perfect. And that's because she's using AirPods, you can see in her ears here, because that's all she had on hand. So of course it's better than nothing. But if they have the plug-in headphones, it will eliminate that little bit of delay.
So the first thing that you're going to want to do to prepare for this project is make a score of the excerpt that you want the students to play. Pop songs work great for this because the chorus is usually about 30 seconds. So that can fit into the parameters of the free version of the app. But you could also take some excerpts from, whatever other repertoire you're playing. So for this, I used Feel It Still by Portugal the Man, and I made a score in Noteflight of just the chorus. The next step is to transpose the parts so that a violin can play the violin 1, 2, viola, cello, and bass parts, and same so the viola can play all of the parts, etc. So to do that, I duplicated the score that I made 4 times, and I titled them each parts for violin, parts for viola, etc., etc. And then I changed the clefs. So you can see in those orange squares that even though it's a violin 1 part, 2 part, etc., they're all in bass clef for the cellos and basses, and they're all in alto for the violas so that they can play all of the parts. Here's my Feel It Still score, and I'm going to show you what I found is the quickest way to transpose the parts so that, for example, the cello could play the bass part, the cello part, the viola part, the violin 2 part, the violin 1 part, and read all of these in bass clef. So I'm going to go over here to my menu, find the score, and then I'm going to click on Save a Copy. It's going to say, do you want to leave? Yes, I'm fine with leaving. And so here's now my copy of the score. So before I do any transposing, I'm just going to make all my parts so I know what I have. So I'm going to call this one we'll call it cello copy of Feel It Still. Then I'm going to make sure that is saved. And I'm going to repeat this process for every instrument that I have. So let's do save a copy again. Yes, I'm going to leave. And we will call this one viola copy of the Feel It Still score. Now, I'm not going to do all of them right now, but I would do one for bass, I would do one for violin, and just one for violin. You don't need to do violin 2 and violin 1. Just one for each instrument is fine. And so I'm going to save. Okay, and now when I click on Noteflight, I have this little hidden menu over here. I'm going to go to My Scores. And you can see here's the score, and then here's the cello part that we made and the viola part that we made. So I'm going to open up the cello part. And now I'm going to just change the clefs. And when I change the clefs, Noteflight will magically make the notes go to the right spots. So let's see here. Go. Okay, so I'm going to start by highlighting all the parts so that I can change all the clefs at once. So I'm going to click on measure 1, and then I'm going to go all the way to the bottom or to the end of the part. I'm going to hold down my shift key, and I'm going to click on the last measure. Now the whole first violin part is highlighted. From there, I'm going to keep holding the shift button down, and I'm going to click on the last measure of every single part. And now they're all selected. I'm going to go over to this menu, find measure, and bass clef. And when I click on bass clef, it changes everything. Now, some of the octaves are way out of range, so we're just going to fix those by same process. Highlight the entire part by shift click, and then I'm going to hold the command button and use the down arrow and bring it down to the octave that I want. And the cello is going to play this. I know that my cellos can play this in this octave. If you feel like you would want to bring it down another octave, you just hit the down button again, and it will bring it down another. But you know your group. So I know my group, and they can do this. So I'm going to leave it here. I think I will leave second violin as it is. Viola is fine. And then all of these are fine. So then the last thing I'm going to do so that the kids don't get confused is I'm going to change all of these to cello so that the cellists know this is their part, and they have to learn all of these lines. And then one more thing that I'll point out, this is just kind of like a little tips and tricks thing. Where I have the instructions typed, this is actually, I'll show you, it's where you would put the lyricist if there was one. Since I don't need a lyricist necessarily, I just use that spot as another spot to put the instructions, because I feel like you can't have them out there enough. And so then after I finished it for this instrument, like I said, I would repeat the process for the bass, the viola part, so that it is in alto clef, and then I would do the violin so that the whole thing is in treble clef. The final step that I would take when I'm done transposing the parts is save it as a PDF so that I can assign it to my students. And so in Noteflight, to do that, you would go down to export. And I want a full score PDF because I want the students to be able to see all of the parts. Continue, save, and then it will ask you where to put it on your computer. And so then you just click save. So then when you're ready to upload it to Google Classroom, you'll have the PDFs handy. And before we take a look at the Acapella app and demonstrate how to use it, I just thought I'd show you a little picture of my recording setup. It's pretty simple. I have a music stand with my music on it. Behind that, I have a mic stand that has a laptop attachment. And on top of that is an iPhone tripod so that the iPhone is at the right level to be able to see me, and then I can still see the music. And then you can see that I have my plug-in headphones plugged into my phone with the built-in microphone. Again, if Bluetooth is all you have, it's better than nothing, but there is a little bit of a delay. So if you can use the plug-in, it's worth it. Okay, so this is a demonstration of the Acapella app. I'm going to find it. It's this red microphone app right here. Click that. And then to start recording, I'm going to click that same icon. Now it's down in the bottom center. And record new. And then you need to choose how many parts you have. This arrangement of feel, it still has 5 parts, but I'm just going to do 3 today for the demonstration, just so that it's quicker. I'm going to click on 30 seconds. That's what you get for free, 15 seconds or 30 seconds. If you pay for the app, you can have unlimited time. But we won't need more than 30 seconds for this. So next. Okay, this will be the first pane that I'm going to record in. There I am. Before I start recording, I'm going to click on this metronome in the bottom left-hand corner and check that my time signature is correct. And then also my tempo, which is 136, so that's all set. I can listen to it ahead of time. And then I'm going to click play tempo. And so what this is going to do is going to have the metronome clicking while you're playing the part so that you can hear it the whole time. I'm going to click X now. And then I'm ready to record. So when I hit record, it's going to give me a 4 or a 1 measure count in, 4 beats. I'm going to give it another 4 beats. And give myself a good cue to come in so that when I record the other parts, I can see when I'm supposed to come in. Stop, continue. And now it's going to give me a chance to listen and see if I like what I played, which I do. So I'm going to hit this green button in the top left corner, top right corner, excuse me. And now I'm ready to record my next part. Just a note, something I maybe should have said before, I chose to play the bass part first in this recording simply because it starts on beat 1 and the violin part starts on beat 2. So I wanted to have something recorded on beat 1 so that I know where it is when it's time to record beat 2, or time to record the violin 1 part. There may be other parts where it makes more sense to start with the violin 1 part or the viola part. You kind of just have to figure that out based on whatever the pieces that you're recording. So I think I will choose the viola part to record next. So I'm going to choose this top right corner. There I am again. And before I record now, I am going to turn the metronome off. So I'm going back to that metronome icon and I'm going to hit this slider switch here. And the reason for that is unless you play absolutely perfectly, the listening to the metronome and listening to yourself playing and then trying to play a third thing can get a little confusing. So it's best to just go with whatever you recorded as your metronome from here on out. Okay, so let me see. I got my viola part ready. I'm going to hit the record button again. This time I'm not going to have the metronome clicking. I'm just going to see a 4-second countdown. So here's where I'm going to watch myself from before and watch my cue so that I know when to come in. And we'll hit continue. Okay, and we can all tell that my intonation was terrible there, so I'm going to hit X. And now I can try it again, okay? I did that on purpose, promise. Maybe best to find your note before you start. Okay, hit record again. Let's try it again. Continue. And that one's much better, so I'm going to hit the green button. And now I am ready to record my last square. So here we go. And this is going to be my violin 1 part. Okay. So this time I have to remember to come in on beat 2. So I'm going to watch my previous 2 recordings so that I know when that is. So I can give it one last check, make sure I like it, and I think this is great, so I'm going to hit my green button one final time. The rendering takes a little while, especially if you have a bigger file. And now I can save it, share it, so I'm going to save it. Continue with the watermark is fine with me. And I am going to share this in my camera roll, or save it in my camera roll. That one's fine with me. It takes a little while to do. But then from there, I can upload it. If I was a student, I could upload it to Google Classroom or wherever you would like your students to turn their work in. So now I'm going to create a Google Classroom assignment for my Acapella App project. So I will click Create and Assignment, and we'll call this Feel It Still Acapella Project. Okay. Instructions: learn all of the parts to feel it still and record them in the Acapella app. Okay, so then I'm going to add the parts so that they can learn the music. And I have them saved over here in a folder. And then I'm also going to add the demo video that you just watched. So they can watch that and learn exactly how to use the app. Okay. And then maybe we'll also add watch the Acapella App demo video. And remember to always use headphones and you know what? Let's make it headphones and the metronome. Those two things are very important, and students tend to overlook it unless you remind them constantly. So all caps for those.
So now I'll just share a couple of lesson extensions that you could use with this project. So I'll use this as an example the same example that we listened to in the beginning. When you take a listen, you'll notice that even though she's playing a violin in all 5 of the frames, it sounds like she has a bass playing as well. And that's something that the student figured out on her own how to do within the Acapella app itself. So she just did a little bit of searching around and found a way to change the octaves of the parts that she played. So encourage the students to be curious and try to figure out how to do different things with the app. Another extension would be students sometimes play multiple instruments. So this student in the top right-hand corner here studies Irish music outside of school and asked if he could use some of those instruments that he plays in this recording, to which, of course, I said yes, that would be great. So here's an example of that. And you can hear that he also did a little bit of embellishing of the melody. So there's lots of opportunities for different things like improvisation and other sorts of things like that. You could also save yourself a little bit of work and have the students transpose the parts themselves. That's always great practice. They may even choose to transcribe a different song, a song of their choice. And then, of course, you could also turn this into a composition project and have them write their own original music, a 30-second piece, and then record it. So lots of options there. And then here on my last slide, I just have some links to Amazon, to the equipment that I used to set up my little recording area. So if you are interested in any of that, you can check that out. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this presentation. Here's my name and my email address. If you want to contact me, I'm happy to share anything else with you that you would like, and I will be here to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you again.